Hello everyone. Welcome back to the new session of Biology, Standard 11th, Chapter 10, Animal Tissue. In last lecture, we studied the details of adipose tissue. In that, we studied about white adipose tissue and brown adipose tissue. Then we studied details of dense connective tissue. In that, we studied two types, that is regular and irregular. In dense regular connective tissue, we studied about tendons and ligaments. Then we studied the details of dense irregular connective tissue. And then we started with supporting connective tissue. In that, we studied the details of cartilage and its types. There were four different types of cartilage: hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, fibrocartilage, and calcified cartilage. Today, we'll start with the second part, that is bone. Talking about bone, bone contains a hard matrix called ossin. Ossin is made up of mineral salt, that is hydroxyapatite. The bone is externally having a covering, and that covering is very tough. That outer tough covering is called periosteum. Periosteum encloses matrix, and I told you the name of matrix is ossin, and it is very hard. Now here, periosteum, in this periosteum, blood vessels and nerves pierces through it, and matrix is arranged in the form of concentric layers called lamella. Now each lamella contains fluid-filled cavities called lacuna. Now fine canals that radiate from each lacuna are called canaliculi. Canaliculi of adjacent lamella connects with each other as they transverse through the matrix. Now in lacuna you will find different types of cells are present. They are osteoblast, osteocytes and osteoclasts. Here you will find osteocytes and osteoclasts are inactive bone cells, whereas osteoblasts are active bone cells. Now if you see a mammalian bone, then mammalian bone shows a peculiar Haversian system which contains Haversian canal in the center. Haversian canal encloses an artery, vein, that is blood vessels, and nerves. Now, there are two different types of bones present in human body. First one is spongy and second one is compact. We have to study the details of these two. In short, now talking about spongy bones, you will find in spongy bones, Haversian system is absent. So you will find there will be gap in between. You will find reticular matrix is arranged in the form of trabecula. It contains a red bone marrow. Whereas if we see a compact bone, in this the matrix shows presence of Haversian system. That means there is no space among them. Between lamella there is no space present. So that's why they are called compact. Now coming towards the next part, that is muscular tissue. Talking about muscular tissue we know it consists of different types. First, let's study the introduction of muscular tissue and then we'll study the types of muscular tissues. Now, talking about introductory part, you'll find the cells of this tissue or muscular tissue are elongated and are called muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is covered by a membrane called sarcolemma. Cytoplasm of muscle cell is called sarcoplasm. So remember, the outer covering is sarcolemma, the cytoplasm is sarcoplasm. And here you will find large number of contractile fibrils are present in sarcoplasm. Those contractile fibrils are called myofibrils. They are very important. You will find one or many nuclei are present in muscle cells depending on the type of muscular tissue. Now, myofibrils, they are made up of proteins, actin and myosin. Muscle fibers contract and decrease in length on stimulation. Hence, we can say that muscular tissue is also known as contractile tissue. It is a vascular tissue and is innervated by nerves also. You will find muscle cells contains large number of mitochondria because in order to do muscular activity, energy is required. And you know, mitochondria is considered as powerhouse. So mitochondria will help in providing that energy. Now coming towards types of muscular tissue. There are three different types of muscular tissue. They are skeletal muscles, or you can also call them as striated muscles, or you can also call them as voluntary muscles. They are striated because they contain dark and light bands. They are called voluntary because they help in doing voluntary activities. They are called skeletal muscles because they are attached to your skeleton, or you can say bone. Then second one is smooth muscles. They are also called as non-striated muscles or involuntary muscles, or you can say visceral muscles. Now, if I say non-striated, that means striations are absent, that is no dark or light bands are visible. Then they are called involuntary because they help in performing involuntary activities. And they are also called as visceral muscles because they are found present on visceral organs. Then third type is cardiac muscle. The name itself indicates that it is present on heart and it is a special type of muscle. Now let's see the details of each type. Let's start with first one, that is skeletal muscles. As I told you, these muscles are found attached to bones, or you can say skeleton. It consists of large number of fasciculi which are wrapped by connective tissue sheath called epimysium or fascia. Now here you will find muscles are found in bundles. Okay, that bundles are nothing but they are fasciculi, and that fasciculi are actually wrapped by connective tissue, and that connective tissue sheath is epimysium, external covering, or you can also call it as fascia. Then each fasciculus is covered by perimysium. Itself the bundle is covered by perimysium. Each fasciculus consists of many muscle fibers, and these muscle fibers are called myofibers. Each muscle fiber is syncytial fiber. If I say syncytial, that means it contains several nuclei. That means more than one nucleus is present. The cell membrane, that is called sarcolemma, surrounds the cytoplasm, and I told you cytoplasm is called as sarcoplasm. So here sarcolemma surrounds sarcoplasm. Sarcoplasm contains large number of parallelly arranged myofibrils. Hence you will find that the nuclei gets shifted towards the periphery. So here in each skeletal muscle, whatever nucleus is present, that is present towards the periphery, that is away from the center. Each myofibril is made up of a repeated functional unit that is called sarcomere. Now, if you see the structure of sarcomere, you will find each sarcomere has a dark band and a light band. Dark band is called anisotropic, or you can say A band, which is present in the center. Then in the center of A band, that is dark band, you will find a light area is present. That light area is called H zone or Hansen's zone. Then you will find in the center of H zone there is a line. That line is called M line. So here dark band, that is A band, contains a light area, that is H zone. H zone contains a line in the center. That line is called M line. A bands are made up of myosin and actin. On either side of A band, you will find light bands are present. Light bands are called isotropic or I bands. These I bands contain only actin. Myosin is absent. Now why? You will find myosin are thick and dark colored, whereas actin filaments are thin and light colored. So in A band, you will find both myosin and actin, that is light color also and dark color also. Whereas in I bands, you will find only light color, that is only actin, no myosin. Now adjacent light bands are separated by Z line. Z stands for Zwischenschip's line. So here dark and light bands on neighboring myofibrils correspond with each other. Hence you will find striations can be seen clearly. So as striations, that is light, dark, like these bands can be seen. That's why we call this muscle as striated muscle. Now coming towards function of this muscle. It shows quick and strong voluntary contractions. Then it brings about voluntary movement of the body. And as these muscles undergo strong voluntary contractions, so they are more prone to fatigue. Now there is an important note you have to remember, that on the basis of amount of red pigment, skeletal muscles are of two different types. They are red and white muscles. Now if we talk about red muscles, it contains very high amount of myoglobin. And if we talk about white muscles, it contains very low amount of myoglobin. So here in red, myoglobin is more. In white, myoglobin is less. Now what is the function of this red and white muscles? Actually, these red muscles are slow pace worker. They are used to work for longer period of time or for slow contraction. Whereas talking about white muscles, they are fast, but they help to work only for short period of time. That means to give any stimulus, to give reflex action, you need white muscles, which will give you a quick reaction, but for short period of time only. But red muscles, they are used for longer period of time. Now another important thing, as I told you, red muscles has got large amount of myoglobin, white muscles had got low amount of myoglobin. What is myoglobin actually? Myoglobin is an iron containing red color pigment which is found only in muscles. And this myoglobin actually consists of one heme and one polypeptide chain. So you will find it can carry one molecule of oxygen. Now, due to presence of myoglobin in muscles, the muscles can obtain their oxygen from two sources. One is myoglobin itself and other one is hemoglobin, which carries oxygen along with it. So as myoglobin is present in muscles, so muscles can get oxygen from two different sources. That is one myoglobin and second one hemoglobin. Now coming towards the next type, that is smooth muscles. If you see the diagram, you'll find these muscles are present in the form of sheets, or you can say layers. Each muscle cell is spindle shaped, or you can say fusiform. You can see the shape, it is pointed from either side and it is broad in the center, that is spindle shaped or fusiform, whereas skeletal muscle was cylindrical type. Now here you will find in smooth muscles the fibers are unbranched, having single nucleus at the center. In skeletal muscle, the nucleus were shifted towards periphery. Here the nucleus are present at the center. Then sarcoplasm that contains myofibrils. Okay, and myofibrils are made up of contractile proteins, that is actin and myosin. But here in smooth muscle, you will find it contains less myosin and more actin. So if actin is more, myosin is less, striations could not be seen. So striations are absent. These muscles are innervated by autonomous nervous system. So they are found in the walls of visceral organs and blood vessels. And you'll find that these muscles may be arranged lengthwise, that is with the help of longitudinal muscles, or around circumference, that is with the help of circular muscles of any organ. So you can see they are either lengthwise arranged to any organ or circumferentially arranged to any organ. Now coming towards functions. These muscles undergo slow and sustained involuntary contractions. That means these actions are not under your control. So that is involuntary. So they bring about involuntary movement of the body. And as they are very slow, the contraction is very slow. So they are less prone to fatigue. Now coming towards the third type of muscle, that is cardiac muscle. In this muscle, you will find the tissue shows character of both striated and non-striated fibers. Now how you will find sarcolemma is not distinct. Hence, you will find uninucleate muscle fibers appears to be multinucleate. And we know that multinucleated character is for striated. And here adjacent muscle fibers are joined together to give branched appearance to the tissue. Actually, the muscles are uninucleate, but they appear as if they are multinucleated. And the muscles are joined together in order to give a branched appearance. Now, the point of adhesion of muscle fibers, that means the point where the muscle fibers are attached, are formed by transverse thickenings of sarcolemma. That is called intercalated disc. These junctions at places, they allow the cardiac muscles to contract as a unit. Now, because of this, what happens? The cardiac muscles are striated involuntary muscles. So that means they show both characteristics. The characteristic of striated muscles also and smooth muscles also. Striated muscles, that means striations can be seen. They are multinucleated in appearance, and as they bring about involuntary action, so they show the character of smooth muscles. It actually forms a myocardium of the heart wall, and the name itself indicates it is a cardiac muscle. That means it is present only on the wall of heart. Function: it has only one function, that is it helps in quick transfer of stimuli. And one important note you have to remember, that is in some mammalians you will find the cardiac muscles are modified, and they are capable of generating impulse on their own. Such heart which can generate impulse on their own are called myogenic heart. So you will find mammalian heart is myogenic, and in some animals these impulse has to be generated with the help of neural stimulus. That means some animals in them you will find cardiac muscles need neural stimulus, that is nervous stimulus, to initiate the contraction of heart. Such kind of heart is called neurogenic heart. That means the heart which is controlled by nerves. The heart which controls itself is myogenic with the help of muscles, and the heart which is controlled by nerves are called neurogenic heart. So let's see the summary what we studied today. Today we studied the details of a bone. In that we studied two types of bones, spongy and compact bone. Then we started with muscular tissue. In that we studied the types of muscular tissue. In that we studied skeletal muscles, then smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. I hope you understood the topic. We'll continue again in the next lecture. Till then, take good care of yourselves. Thank you.